Yeah, so I'm studying for my exam tomorrow. I'm not excited about it at all. My roommate's out because she's done with her exams. She's doing something fun, boozing, having fun. And I'm in my room. But I'm sure you'll be interested to know that Africa, which is where I want to live when I grow up, um, has a large population and limited food production. So, if you were curious, it does. Um, yeah, so about Africa. That's where I want to live. Uh, After college, I want to go to the Peace Corps, and I would really, really, really like to be stationed in Sierra Leone. I'm really drawn to that particular place. If you haven't read A Long Way Gone, you really should. It's a memoir of a boy soldier, and that's when everything I want to do with my life changed. It was a life-changing book. Um, then, let's see. After that, after I'm in Africa, I'm also minoring in women's studies. Oh, sorry. My major is agricultural communications. But I'm minoring in women's studies because I'm really interested in women empowerment globally as it relates to agriculture, in order that if there was to be a second green revolution, that it would be more successful than the first, because there would in fact be women empowerment. So anyway, yeah, then I want to be a volunteer for the United Nations, which you can do that when you're 25. So it would be time to bow right for me to do it right after the Peace Corps. So I volunteer for the United Nations, hopefully back where I was before, in the same area, somewhere in West Africa specifically. Then it would be real cool to come back after all my experiences. I would be like 27 because you can serve a 2-year term. I would serve the 2-year term because it would be the longest. But be 27 back here in the United States. With any luck, with with any good good news, I wouldn't come back here. I would actually really want to open a place where boy soldiers who were addicted to drugs. If you don't know anything about boy soldiers in Africa, you should definitely look it up. It's really interesting. They had some political issues, and this one guy took over, and basically he raids villages and just takes the boys away from their family and forces them to be soldiers. So there's like 6-year-olds carrying AK-47s, like just raiding villages, and one way that they keep them involved with the army and so they don't rebel against them is that they drug them. And so like I would really like to have a place in Africa where it was like a safe haven for boy soldiers, or just for displaced children, especially girls who were rape victims. And I would really like to have a place that was like half and half. So half of it was for boys who were addicted to drugs, and so it was like a rehab, kind of like detox place, and a place where they could just get the therapy they needed to just get their minds straight, and just a place that offered a lot of opportunities. Um, and the other half would be for girls who were rape victims, in order that they could have like the counseling, and also not just even if they weren't rape victims, but also a really big problem in Africa is that there's not a lot of education for women. So also it would be a part of women empowerment is to work with girls and children to discuss sexual education with them, in order that they could protect themselves, because as we all know, HIV and AIDS is a really big deal in Africa. And so that's really important to me, is that women and girls are empowered there in order that they can be successful and that they can build a better life for themselves. Because I personally think that all hope is not lost for Africa. In fact, as a developing country, I think it has a lot of potential. Um, anyway, but if I did have to come back to America, I would want to write. You might have heard of Nicholas Kristof. If you haven't, you should definitely check him out. He writes in the opinion section for the New York Times. Great, great, great writer. I absolutely adore him. He actually wrote another book that changed my life called Half the Sky. He worked hand in hand with someone on this book. And it's very good. It examines red light districts around the world and just discusses how if women were empowered globally, then it would boost the world economy, and that in turn we would see a lot of really positive things happening. So also, on another note, I would like to write, though. Specifically, I would like to be a journalist, although I really am into like broadcasting, so I would really like the broadcasting side of things rather than just the writing, although I do love to write. And also, I really think that it would be cool if like I could write books, because I feel like after you go somewhere like that and you just have those experiences, that you're just a completely different person, and that you would be so cultured and you would have seen so many things. And I just think that it would be really cool to record all of these. Like, I'm a journaler, so I would journal like while I was there, and then I would just compile all my journal entries and write a story. And then on top of that, like, I think there would just be so many stories that I could tell, and it would just be life-changing. I want to write a book that changes someone's life, like A Long Way Gone changed mine, or like Half the Sky changed my life. Also, randomly, if you haven't read Gandhi's autobiography, you should check that out too, because it's really good. Yeah, but so I'm studying for my plant science final, and that's how we got off on Africa. But I love Africa, and that's kind of what this class talked about, was like issues globally that relate to agriculture, because the problem isn't that we can't produce enough food, it's just that we have poor food distribution. So anyway, we also discussed issues like, I don't know, like whether agriculture should stay local so that the money stays in the local community, or we should produce it where it was cheaper so we could have more. So anyway, that's what's up in my studying. I'm just reviewing old exams and stuff. The potato originated in South America, like if you didn't know, right? And wheat, where did it originate? Things like that. Basically, the origin of crops, where a lot of our crops that we have today come from, things like that. Some geography. But the professor was really cool. So, it was a good class. It was actually probably one of my favorites, because it was relative to what I wanted to do, I guess. I found it interesting. But I don't want to take the final because it's going to suck. And because most people are done with their finals and they're having fun. And here I am. Or they're at home. My best friend went home today. And here I am. Bee's still here, though, but she's still not with me. But I will see her tomorrow before I leave. Worry not. And yeah. So I better get back to studying. I've killed about 10 minutes. But if you have any questions about Africa, there's a lot of organizations that I know a little bit about and some that I know a lot about. And I definitely would love to inform people on ways they can get involved to help Africa. One specifically that a lot of people have heard of in comparison to some of the others that I'm aware of is the Invisible Children. So if you haven't heard of that, check it out. And if you have, then you know where I'm at. But yeah, if you are interested in more ways to get involved in Africa, or even just in other developing countries, I know a lot of organizations that work in places like that. So send me a message or something, and I would be really glad to help someone that wanted to get involved, because it is really a cool thing. But I hope that if anyone else is watching this and it's finals week, that you're not hating it as much as me. But it's almost over. So anyway, until next time.